morning, afternoon, evening, good night, depending on where in the world you're listening or watching the video from. Remember, people, very, very crucial. Hit that subscribe button. Subscribe to the channel. You're not going to take no money out of your pocket. You won't lose any sleep. It won't prevent you from paying your light bill or your rent. So subscribe to the channel. It's not going to do you nothing. If you like sport even a tiny bit, hit that subscribe button. Comment in the comment section. Tell me what your thoughts are. I will respond to all of you. Alright, so big up the ones who have subscribed already and helping the channel to grow. Alright, so Jamaica, disappointing result with Cuba. That's what this video is about. The Reggae Boys' performance against Cuba in the Nations League, 0-0. And they played one entire half against 10 men against this Cuban national team. But surprisingly, the result is disappointing. But you know, the performance wasn't all that bad though. As a matter of fact, the performance was pretty good. We kept the ball very, very well. And we would have faced weak opponents, relatively weak opponents in the past, and didn't keep the ball as well as we did against Cuba. So, me grateful for that. We did create a lot of chances. And remember, people, it's Cuba. I predicted that the Jamaicans would have won this game by between 4 and 6 goals. That's how good we are relative to Cuba, and Cuba is lowly ranked. So that's why the result is a major disappointment, and you don't want these sort of errors to occur. You can't go in our World Cup qualifiers and get away with these things. You might leave from being in a favorable position to qualify in terms of based on how the thing is structured this time around and the amount of teams qualify, to not qualifying. And that shouldn't be the case. So we want to fix these things going forward. We don't want to make these sort of mistakes. Because this was not a tactical situation. This was not a general performance situation. This was just being sloppy in one era. Very sloppy in front of goal. Mikel Antonio, especially him. Bowser came on, that Shamar Nicholson, fluffed his lines. Sitter fluffing his lines. Yeah, the goalkeeper for Cuba was great. I give you that. Put himself in the right positions to make many of those saves. And in one particular instance, he pulled off a brilliant save against the Mariah Gray. So, you add that the goalkeeper was clearly the man of the match. It meant Jamaicans was hitting a whole heap of shots towards the Cuban goal. So, we're not going to bash us too much. We're just going to ask the players them to listen, make these mistakes from now, because we don't want this sort of situation where you get winnable games, especially at home against significantly weaker opposition, and you do not get the job done. So we want you to focus. So there's not much really criticism of the coach, really, because the football was much more fluent. And let me repeat, people might say it's only Cuba, but I have seen the Reggae Boys playing against only this and only that, and not move and pass the ball and keep the ball around as well. So Casey Palmer was very, very good, and he helped the ball to keep ticking in the middle of the park. He was exceptional. But there are two players that are my major concerns, where I don't see any improvement coming. They are who they are, and this is who they will be. And the faster we get rid of them out of the national team, the better. Alright, let me not say get them out of the national team, especially as relates to one of the players. And that's Lati Bodir. Lati Bodir must not play in the middle of the park. Yes, in games like this, viewers, subscribers, you want to have in every position the players who balance attack and defense the best. So for example, in the defensive midfield position, because Cuba are going to sit back and they're going to have most of the possession, you don't really need a defender in that position, the defense. You need somebody who would have been good on the ball, since you would have had so much possession, to help with the creativity, to help with the range of passing, to help in... but I think that's not his game. He's just simplistic, basic in his stuff, just things that most ordinary player can do. And I don't know why we keep him, because I know Steve McLaren is new to the job. So clearly he would have gotten guidance as to who he picks, where they play and what they are doing. So this was not really a Steve McLaren. Yes, people, this was not really a Steve McLaren game in terms of 100% Steve McLaren, because he's pretty much new. So hopefully he can realize what I'm realizing and fade Latibodier out of that midfield position. It hasn't worked, and it will never work. He doesn't have the ability to play there. Pretty good performances when he plays in other positions. So I think he can still maintain a space in the squad as a central defender or a right back. So you're talking about no Latibodier, Bernard, Pinnock, King, and others. Which means for me, no space for Damian Lowe, who I attempted 7 long distance passes and none hit the target. Let me repeat, Damian Lowe attempted 7 long range passes and none of them hit the target. And Damian Lowe continues to be so poor in his decision making as a reggae boss. And yes, there's nothing to criticize him for his defensive work, because Cuba offered nothing, people. It was literally one of the most one-sided 0-0 results you've ever seen in football. They offered nothing. We had 7 shots on target. We had 21 shots overall. We have 70 at plus possession. We had how many? It was just dominant without a goal, because of 40 poor finishing. These are not guilty chances, you know. These are clear-cut chances, you know. Omari Bell got one in the first half. Why was he taking another touch? You were pretty much in the 6-yard box. You came to your soft and slowly hit it. Put your foot through it. You got another one in the second half. Point blank range. Ball didn't even hit the target. Mikel Antonio early to play Damari Gray in, missed the pass. It was so sloppy. It was so shockingly bad in front of goal. Cuba offered nothing. So defensively, there's nothing to analyze for the defenders, because they had no work to do, literally, viewers. No work to do. So we can't really judge them on their play, but we know what they do are. But he's still not letting go of. Listen, the reason why you have midfield players who practice different skills generally from the defenders in training, you know, is because that's what their the area of expertise. Why is Damian Lowe trying to avoid trying to make final passes? You're not a midfield player. You're not a good passer. You're a horrible one. It is annoying to watch Damian Lowe, but he keeps being called to the national team. So I guess me an idiot. But I'm a Jamaican and I want the Jamaican team to do well. So since they're going to call Damian Lowe, I'm going to support Damian Lowe. But I have a message for Damian Lowe. Leave the long range passing for your midfield players. Now talking about clearances now. Talking about getting possession, being in possession, looking left, looking right, and then deciding to try and find the striker. You don't have it. Leave it alone. Leave it alone. So there's not much to be critical of the defense, because they weren't tested really. But in games like these, we don't want situations where we have teams to beat. And I'm not going to say the main reason what Latibodier wasn't doing, you know. But I'm just looking forward. You want this situation to capitalize. A man like Latibodier in the midfield was unnecessary. Unnecessary. But again, I know a lot of criticism will come because we drew 0-0 with Cuba. But as the coach said, a lot of positives from the game. Well, I like the flow. I like the ideas from the coach and how it seems that we will play. I know it's only Cuba, so we're going to watch to see what happens against Honduras in our next game, to see if it is something that he will continue to deploy in terms of how we move the ball. You understand? That is important. But disappointing result, but not a disappointing performance overall. I liked it. It's been a while since I've seen us dominating any team at National Stadium, whether weak, strong, or decent. Alright? These, though, are merely my views, and know as always, what say you?